Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Hopkins. I'm the author of 52 Weeks of Wellbeing, a No Nonsense Guide. And happiness for me, I was asked to think about this question before, is the absence of noise and activity and loads of things. It's that moment you get where it's just peace, where you can be with yourself, your thoughts, where you can hear the noise in the park, no distractions, no phones, no pings, no dings, or any other things. That for me is happiness. And that's what I'm going to get myself some of after this call.
Wow. Happiness is no dings and just time by
Yeah.
yourself. Wow. I love that. I wish I had more of that myself. So, when did you come across that being happiness for you, Ryan? And how often do you get to practice that?
It's happiness today. It's not
Oh,
happiness
happiness
always.
today. I love that.
Yeah.
Happiness today. Oh, that's even better.
Because what works for me yesterday is not what I need today. I'm a human being, right? Not human done. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
what I need today is a bit of peace and quiet. It's been endless calls. So for that, for me, would give me the greatest gain. Whereas on other days when I've got lots of peace and quiet, then I look for the busyness. So I think it changes, but that's what I need today. It's a bit grey here in London, but you put a coat on and you're good to go.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, cool. Well, we got together a couple weeks back in London, and we learned about happiness being together. We got to spend some time, which was lovely. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the time that you shared with me. It was wonderful, and thanks for writing a great book as well. Because the book, now that I've met you, the book is like listening to you talk and listening to you read the book to me, which is lovely. I really love that. So, I just want to say thank you first of all.
It was my pleasure. And any excuse to go around Richmond and have a pint on a Sunday, you were that perfect excuse. And to meet someone new and show you around, I was like, yeah, let's go.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, we got to talk about the book, right? That's what we're here for. So tell me, how did you get started writing 52 Weeks of Wellbeing?
Well, it started on a toilet, Phil.
Come on, on the toilet?
Yes, on the toilet. Where do you do your best thinking, right?
Yeah.
When
In
you're
the
sitting on
shower or
the
on the toilet? Yep.
it is, right? So I was sitting there and I was thinking, well, I've learned as I put myself back together many times that well-being is no small thing, but it's made up of small things. It's the little things you do every day that make a difference. So I was thinking, what's something you do multiple times every day that you can attach positive habits to? And I'm on the toilet thinking like Archimedes, with my chin on my fist. And I was like, well, I looked it up. Apparently, we go 8 times every day. And if you don't think you do, you should count tomorrow, Phil, and you'll be absolutely
I will.
flabbergasted. I promise. So I counted the other day and it was more. And I was like, blimey, you're drinking too much water. Anyway, so I was like, I can do like some different kind of content here. So I started with a video, a selfie on the toilet. And I thought, I'm going to post it on socials. And I thought, I'm going to ruin my career here. Now I've got like a full ring light set up in my bathroom. It looks like an OnlyFans channel. But I started creating content. You flush and you flourish. It's the little things that matter. We've overcomplicated what is often quite simple. So I started with this content. I did 100 odd episodes, put it into a book proposal, and that was going to be Toilet Break Wellbeing. Toilet Break Wellbeing evolved into 52 Weeks of Wellbeing from the guidance of my publisher, which was probably very, very wise. But it started on a toilet.
Wow. That's funny. I love your line there. You flush and you flourish. I think that's so interesting, right? Because if we think about that, right, and go a little deeper, we're able to spend a finite period of time, and when we're done, we're done. Now we can let it go, release, and think about, okay, well, what's next? What else do I have to focus on? So I think that's pretty brilliant, Ryan.
It's the little things. If you did 10 press ups every time you went to the toilet, you'd do 29,200 press ups this year. It's the little things. And that's all that ever matters. Well-being is never achieved like this. You don't go on a diet and lose it immediately. It's the little things and decisions you make every day. So if we just start to focus on those little windows in the day, because we're constantly distracted, let's be real. We both work on laptops, right?
Yep, that's right.
If we can create some windows or moments of calm, like I was saying that I would like in the park, you'd be surprised at the impact they can make over a long period of time.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, right? And one of the chapters in your book is all about the little things. And I think that's so important, right? 30 seconds here, 60 seconds there, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. That's really good. So why though? Like why does that help us so much, Ryan? Why is it not just I just got to push hard and I got to do 1,000 press ups right now?
Because then you can't do any more press ups tomorrow, right? If you go too hard now, there's nothing left in the tank. It's about sustained effort over time. And like, there's an amazing story of Dominique Balby. You probably remember this from the book, the
Yeah.
editor-in-chief from Vogue. He had a stroke, and he woke up with locked-in syndrome. He could only move his left eye. They eventually found out. He wrote an entire book with his left eye, and it took 200,000 blinks to do. I'm not saying that that's an incredible feat of patience and achievement for someone who's had it stacked against them, right? Most of us don't have it that difficult, but we can do the little things regularly, and they add up to something monumental. If you flip it around, you can create space in little ways. If you've got 6 meetings a day and you cut each one by 5-10 minutes, you'll save 4.8 work weeks worth of effort this year. And that's a lot of time to stretch, to move, to do everything else. And in a very, very busy world, those windows are often all we get, because we can't take off for a year. You've got a family, Phil. I know if you've got your wife and you've got kids and they try and look after them, and you can't just go to the Shaolin mountains, can you, and take a year off and become a monk? No, you can't. You got to earn the bread, mate. You got to bring home the money so your wife doesn't tell you off, right? So you work hard. So there are little moments that we can make space for, and those little moments are often all we get. So for me, that's what it is to be well, and especially at work, that's what we have control of.
Yeah, well, so I like that, right? I wrote an article, actually, I think it might have published today even, about controlling the controllables. It's
the dichotomy of control. Yeah, I love it.
I wrote about that too. And I think that's so important that we remember that, right? To your point, we only have control of a few things, not everything, because we're working with other people. We're working with the world. I mean, we don't work in a vacuum. So I think it's so important that we do take advantage of those little moments.
When you said you were coming to London, I thought they're the little things I can control, like try and make sure you had a better trip. And we and Phil went around Richmond. We were looking for all the sites from Ted Lasso, having a beer. It was great. And they're the little moments you can control. But there's lots you can't. And the world seems quite difficult at the moment. You just have to switch on the news, and it can bring you down quite quickly. And there's some serious stuff going on in the world, right? But can you control that? No. But can you take those little windows to do something for yourself? Yeah, you can. Yeah. And that's all we have, and to think otherwise will slowly drive you insane. So we have to accept that we're impossibly small and insignificant as individuals, essentially. And that's like the cosmic insignificance therapy, which I love. Take yourself to the park or somewhere by the sea and remember how finite and small you are. We're an ant in the vastness of the cosmos, and then it helps you like switch off, and you think, oh, maybe that email wasn't that important, but it can be everything, and it can feel everything because we exist inside our own heads, right? So take that second, put it into context, and eventually you might come back down to size and think, all right, so maybe I can just do this little thing.
Yeah, well, I hope so, right? I hope we can do that little thing, and that's important. And one of the little things, that you talk about in the book is the difference between happiness and joy. And I think this is interesting, right? Because I love happiness, right? I love happiness because I try to be in the moment. But you talk about joy as being something bigger. So tell me about the difference for you, Ryan.
Yeah, of course. It's a good one. You asked me the question at the beginning. I was thinking, do I pick apart this question now? And I thought, no, don't be an idiot. Just answer what happiness is. Okay, you don't always need to be the contrarian. So for me, the difference, happiness is a feeling which is temporary, like anger or sadness. And it's often created externally, like from some ice cream. My flatmate just bought me a McFlurry before this call. So
nice!
So that brought me some happiness. I'm not going to lie. But so happiness is often externally created. We look for it from somewhere outside, from something else. Whereas joy is something that's intrinsic. So it's something you get from a sense of achievement, volunteering, doing something for someone else, that sense of pride, having time with a loved one. You know that feeling, that joy feeling. You know it, whatever you want to call it. And that's called eudaimonia. And there's hedonia and eudaimonia. And that's hedonic. Hedonic pleasures are external, that can create happiness, which is fleeting. Eudaimonia is internal, which is joy. And that's more self-sustaining. That lasts for longer. Happiness fluctuates, and we look to continue to build it up. Therefore, we can actually lean into sometimes some negative things. But again, it depends on your definition. You might call happiness joy, joy, happiness, whatever. If it brings you that sense and it's not like created externally and it's not going to cause you any detriment, then absolutely do it. Like I've just had an ice cream, like I talk about exercise and stuff. It's all about balance, right? If you can have a bit of joy and a bit of happiness, absolutely do it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I like your definition of more meaning. And I think sometimes though that gets out of our control, that meaning, because sometimes we get stuck in the we have to do this right now. And so for me, that's why I like to focus on happiness, because happiness, I believe I can control that by spending time with people that I love, right? Spending time with people that I want to spend time with. Now, is that always possible? No, but I can take advantage of those little moments, those little nuggets, if you will. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit of contrarianism back at you, buddy,
I
because I
love it.
think
No,
it's
yeah,
important, right?
it's got to be done
Yeah,
100%. And life can be tough, and there's pockets or things you can do to make it easier during the day because it can be painful. Yeah, why not? Like,
yeah.
absolutely. They both have their place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's pick a passage from the book here. I don't know if you have the book, so I'm happy to read if you don't. But
Please.
so yeah, so let's see here. So what are you waiting for? Let's talk about this here. I'm not going to read the whole chapter here. Chapter 26 here. What are you waiting for? Chinese proverb: best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It says, are you waiting for the perfect moment to start something new? Are you waiting for when the project dies down to sign up, see a therapist, start your new diet, take that leap of faith with that career change that you wanted for years? If so, you're most certainly not alone. I like that you say that. That's good. I'm a proud member of the Serial Procrastinator Club. I'd do the secret handshake with you, but I was too busy to attend the session. Most of us face this problem in our lives when we keep waiting for the perfect moment to start something new. I'll start when. But what if I told you that waiting for the right moment is just a myth? There's a lot more in that chapter, but I think it's so important to remember that right now is the right time, not tomorrow. Because I know what, for instance, let's get back to us. I mean, I found out you're in London. I found out I'm going to London. I took the shot. Hey man, you want to get together? Let's grab a pint. Let's see. And you're like, oh yeah, what do you like about London? What do you know? And I'm like, honestly, Ryan, the only thing I know is Ted Lasso. You're like, cool. Let's
Done.
do that, right? Let's do
Exactly.
that. So we took advantage of the moment that we had there, and we had an awesome time. So tell me, why do we forget that all we have is right now?
Because we're constantly thinking about what's next, right? We're told we need to have
Mm,
more to do something else, or we're ruminating over an error that we've made potentially. You sent an email saying dead colleagues instead of dear, and we're always either reflecting on something terrible, supposedly terrible we done, or thinking about the next thing because we have to live our life like that, right? However, the only thing that we ever have is there's another rhyme, and I like these little poems. Like, I mean, what is it? Future is a mystery. The past, I've completely forgotten it, but essentially it's just saying the present is all we have, and it's true. And when it comes to like putting things off and being busy and having loads to do all the time, we're always looking for what's next, the next thing. But all we ever have is now. So if you want to get something done, don't wait to get perfect. Or if you want to go to the gym, wait for the perfect routine or go for an hour. I didn't go this morning because I was a bit tired. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to do 20 minutes after this call, after this with you, Phil, and then I've got another call, right? So I'm just getting something done. And we often let perfection get in the way of progress, don't we? So with those little things, if we want to get after something, it's about the little things regularly. So I couldn't get to the gym this morning, but I've been shaking my knee all day, because if you do that all day, you burn about 300 calories, which is enough essentially for a McFlurry without putting on any weight. So it's not about waiting for that perfect moment. If you want to get on a diet, maybe it's just about shaking a knee or going for a walk or doing something, because over time these things really, really add up.
yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
We can like think we can try and wait for the perfect moment, but there never is there?
No, that's right. There's never enough. There's never a perfect enough moment if we're
No.
waiting for it. Instead, we have to pick the right now and go get it. So I think that's so true. So with that, Ryan, let's go back. You talked a little bit about the news there and how the news is often a lot of bad news. So one of the chapters in your book, you actually talk about the news and what we can do to kind of take control of the news instead of letting it control us. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think as we get closer and closer to an election cycle here in the United States,
Same in
and
the
I'm
UK.
sure, yeah,
Yeah.
same in the UK, right?
Mm.
As we get closer and closer to that, we're going to hear more and be bombarded with more and more bad news, because
Yep.
if it bleeds, it leads. So let's talk about that, Ryan, and how we can overcome all the crap that's out there.
It's fears, fires, and fake news, right? Good news doesn't make the news, is it? How often do you hear that two men that don't know each other go to Richmond, have a beer, and see Ted Lasso sites? That you don't. But that
Right,
was
that's
nice,
right.
and for me, that made me happy.
Me
You
too.
don't hear these things because it doesn't sell, does it? We're in an attention economy, and you check your phone 352 times a day. So whatever it is on your phone, it has to come up and be different enough to either make you angry or make you sad or make you really excited. And that's another type of content, right? But we're not going to talk
Yeah.
about that today. So it has to do that immediately, and it's got to make you like drive some emotional reaction to make you want to go into it, because your eyes are money. That is the currency. So to do so, they have to be sensationalist, and everyone has an agenda. So for me, it just makes me feel terrible. I already know these things are going in the world when I speak to my mum or family or friends and other things, and I see it on socials, which I try not to spend too much time on now. So I get the information I need, but do I need to see that there is conflict going on in some place every single day for months on end?
I don't think
And
so.
I can actually do nothing about it. I can do my piece. I can support people around me. I can give attention to people who've got family in those areas, regardless of what side, right? And I can say I can be my best self and try and positively influence around people around me. Can I do anything about it there? No. So when I was younger, I had bulimia for about 8 years, and I used to obsess over like bodybuilding articles and stuff like this. Was before TikTok. I'm glad I didn't have that when I was young. And I used to just surround myself with that content that just made me feel awful about myself. So what I do now is I curate my feeds. I don't look at the news. I don't watch the news. I don't have the news apps on my phone. I don't need the notifications that things are shit. I choose and curate my feed for people like you, for good people I aspire to spend time with and look up to, and people I want to learn from. And now I've made my own news, right? So I still want to understand I'm not blind to things happening in the world, and nor do I want to put my head in the sand.
Right.
But I choose where I spend my attention, because you are what you consume, and that's the same with the news and everything else as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to curate it. Now, you also talked about the nuclear option, though. We can just shut it completely off. Like, we don't even have to watch it. My wife does that. My wife is nuclear. The only news she gets is from me, and I don't share much of it with her because, frankly, to your point, it's out of her control. There's nothing she can do other than feel bad about the crap that's happening. I mean,
she's probably happier as a result, right?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I think so. And it's simple. It's simple. Just shut it off. And then your second piece about that is curation, right? Pick your sources. For me, I actually on my phone, I have an app that I use that works pretty well. It's called Fourth. Fourth is a good app. It's very simple, and Fourth allows me very simply just to basically read the news. There's no opinion. It's just the news, what's happening in the world. So that's helpful. And then I also like to get ground news, because ground news will give me the whole story all across the spectrum. And it'll tell me, does this lean left? Does this lean right?
That's helpful.
What am I doing? Yeah, and that's helpful too. But I'll tell you though, even just reading the news, often just reporting the news makes me sad. It doesn't make me happy. There's nothing I can do about it. So I need to do a better job even of curating, maybe paring down even more, so that when because I did turn off all the notifications actually. When I was in London, it's great because I didn't want to spend a lot of my data. So I made sure that as a notification would come up, I'd shut it off. As a notification would come up, I'd shut off. So because I had them all off at one point, and then new apps come and I turn them on, or I'm like, well, it's okay, I'll turn them on. But I have very few notifications on. I have WhatsApp, and I have my Facebook, and my Apple Messages, and that's really about it. That's the only thing that I notify with.
Yeah, we receive about 78 notifications a day on average, and it takes 25 minutes to get into a state of focus. We check our email about 80 times a day, most of us. So between those two things, you are never able to get into a state where you can do good work. And we conflated being busy and being productive, and that just rolls over into our evenings, right? You can't get through an episode of The Office like without being pinged or something. So we can never actually fully switch off. And it's the same, like work just bleeds through into our evenings and personal life as well. For me, that notification thing has been huge. I have no notifications on my phone. No, none. Good. WhatsApp, text, nothing.
Wow.
So I contact people when I choose to go back in. I still do a bit too much screen time. I'm not perfect, but I'm evolving my relationship with it, as we all do. And you got to work what works for you. And maybe you have to have it on because you got to have certain people come through, but you can configure that as well. And you can organize your work notifications. They come through in certain hours. You do not need to be messaged and like noise come through your laptop your phone and everything else. It's just a recipe for a distracted, unhappy work life and outside of it. So we can take some control. They are our devices. We are not. It's not the other way around, right? So we need to configure them in our favor. But it's difficult when you feel like you have to be involved all the time. You know what it's like. You have to be posting on social, writing content. For me, what I do, I post every day on LinkedIn, and the temptation to check the post every single 2 minutes for that like ping of like excitement and validation that I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying my best now to time box the times that I check it. So I go on, as soon as I put the content up, I drive the traffic for 30 minutes, I close off for a bit, and I'm developing my relationship again, but not perfect. It's an evolution, isn't it? But long as I create those windows to focus on myself each day, regardless of how busy I am with the book or the work and anything, I know that I can turn up again tomorrow and keep bringing energy, because to change the world and do what I want to do, I've got to turn up as my best self, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have to have the energy to do that. And that's being our best self as much as we can. That's exercising in little bursts of time. That's being quiet when we can be quiet. And sometimes that's being noisy when we need to be noisy as well.
But always the spectrum, mate, as you say, the happiness, the joy, all of it. It's never as black and white.
Yeah.
As people say, there's never a fixed solution. We evolve, we change every day. Our circumstance changes, the people around us change, the environment changes. So to continue to find the same thing to yield results for ourselves is going to be wrong, and we're going to evolve, or at least we should as individuals. So you got to keep thinking, what do I need? What do I need right now? And just plan the fuck out of it. Excuse my French. Like, you are your priority. You are, and the work emails and calls will be there later. And the most important part for me every day for years of my day was 12:15 when I would call my nan. I started during the pandemic for her, but then I carried on for years for me, and I lost her last April suddenly. But I don't regret any call I didn't attend. I don't regret the email that I had to wait 45 minutes. It brought me so much joy, and that is real joy. Happiness as well, because it's temporary, but I told you the line is blurry. But they're the things that matter. And in a busy, distracting, from what can seem a terrible world, these are things that we have to prioritize more than anything else, and we create space for that. And you can keep turning up for other people as you do, doing what you do, bringing people on this show. And I appreciate you for reaching out and bringing some happiness to my Sunday as well and today.
Yeah, my pleasure, my friend. Well, this book has given me great joy as well. There's so much good stuff. I mean, really, Ryan, I have to tell you, I could flip to any chapter at all. But the last one that I want to close with is about your circle. I think that's so important, right? We find that loneliness is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about our circle and how we build our circle and how we can encourage people to build their circle so that they're happier. And by the way, I just want to say with that, thanks for being in my circle, my friend. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. There's a distinction to make, because I like to pick up on the question. So I spoke about spending time on my own, and you think, oh, that sounds lonely. There's a difference. There's a place of nurture, there's solitude, where you can just find some peace for yourself. Being lonely is when you're yearning for others. Solitude is when you yearn for yourself and that peace. And I love that quiet now, because my days are busy and never, and it's an absolute joy that I get to do things like this, but I need that time to recharge. And I look for both. But then my circle of people now, I'm fortunate enough to meet a lot of amazing people. The social stuff is really spreading now, and I have a lot of people around, but more important than ever, picking the people that bring me that joy, that peace, that sense of contentment. And often they're not people that are going to bring anything to your career or anything else, but for the pure love of spending time with them, like your old friends. You never laugh like you do with your school friends or the people you played basketball with when you were younger. And it's more and more important as I turn into as a grumpy old man. I get busier and busier than ever with the book and the work, that I carve time out for that, because all work and no play makes Ryan a dull boy. And for me, every day I speak to my mum, I speak to my granddad a couple of times a week on the phone, speak to my dad, my brothers. Now, phone calls for me are where I get like the most love. I do video calls all day, and I love like picking up the phone to someone, going a bit old school. So I'm just carving that time out and protecting it, like I did time with Nan, because you never know when that last call is going to be as well. And at the end of the day, who are you doing it for? If not for yourself, it's for those people in that circle as well, right? So keep them close, make time for them. One more thing, one of my friends, actually I'm going back to my hometown this weekend. One of my friends passed away suddenly a couple of weeks ago. He was only 34, had a brain hemorrhage, and we played rugby together. Real top man, Joe Knight, and we're going to go and play a game in his memory this weekend with boys that used to play together 20 years ago. And we're going to wear Hawaiian shirts, probably drink lots of beers, and cry probably quite a lot and play a game. And what else is it for if it's not for those people? And we can get distracted with all of the news and the notifications and everything else, but that is all that matters. So yeah, it's pertinent. It's a good question at the moment because I've been thinking about that a lot with what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Yeah, the circle. It's super important. Keep it close and then expand it out as we need to. I can tell you that every single day I get a text from my dad. My dad's 77, Ryan, and my dad has a T9 phone. So he's like this. He has to tap. And every day he sends me a text to let me know how his day is going. And I got to tell you, I look forward to those texts so much. I talk to my mom probably 4 days a week. Those are the two most important people in my life, besides for the ones that are over my head here with my family close by. But I think it's so important that we slow down and we take time for those that are most important, right? Our really tight circle. I would almost say that's like a, that's a circle that is small enough to be powerful. Yeah. And yet it is large enough that we can make time for it and that it can give us strength. So with that, I'm super glad that you would make time for me. I'm super glad that you're here. This book is fantastic, friends. If you're listening in, I want to encourage you, pick it up, pick a chapter, any chapter at all, right here. This is so funny, Ryan. The chapter that I just flipped to just for fun here, the rest ethic, which you're going to get to do right after this. Taking time for yourself.
Perfect timing. Exactly. We're busy, right? But we've got to develop a rest ethic that's equal. If you want to continue to turn up and do amazing things, you got to prioritize the hell out of yourself. And it's quite a rebellious act at the moment when the easiest thing would be to continue and keep dipping in. Yeah, step away, make that time, call a loved one, have the ice cream. You do you, because all of the emails and the calls are going to be here later, right? You are your priority, nothing and no one else. You get that right, then you can turn up for the people you love, your work and everything else.
Absolutely. So Ryan, if people want to get more from you, where would they go? Where do you want them to go?
LinkedIn's normally best. I'm a bit of a LinkedIn fiend, as I said, and I actually love the people on the platform and the energy from that place as well, because people are generally nice. And then Future of Wellbeing on Instagram and TikTok, and then the book's available around the world. I'd love to know what you think when you dip into it as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So give us that Instagram handle one more time, please.
Yeah, it's Future of Wellbeing. One word.
Future of Wellbeing. Okay, that's great. So if you want to find Ryan, go to Instagram, search for Future of Wellbeing. That's all one word, or find Ryan Hopkins on LinkedIn. Lots of great stuff shared today. I just want to encourage folks, now that you've listened to this, go take some time for you. Go practice your rest ethic. Ryan is going to go rest. I'm going to go rest. We're going to take some time. And I encourage you, get a copy of the book, because every chapter, every little piece, while Ryan wrote it on the toilet, it's still fantastic. So thanks, my friend. I appreciate you.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Can we make those hearts go? For me too. Maybe not today, right? Maybe not today. I'm not as good. Oh, there we go. I got him. Yeah. All right. All right.